Star Wars Tales of the Jedi is finally here. Dave Filoni's Jedi anthology series follows two paths, one of light and one of darkness. That means we've got 3 episodes to focus on Ahsoka Tano, and of course 3 on Count Dooku. We should call him Dooku, but you get the gist. This short series has mixed feelings from us. While the concept is great to get an expanded look at these characters, could it have been more? We'll explain in this review. Spoiler warning, this review will dive into Tales of the Jedi in full detail. As such, you have been warned about spoilers. Here we go. Greetings everyone, my name is Captain Jack, my young Padawans, and welcome to Star Wars Now. Before we dive into today's video review, use the force and hit that subscribe and like button to never miss a video from the team here at Star Wars Now. As always, if you're talking about Star Wars, then we want to hear about it. So my initial thoughts on this series is first, amazement. We're getting more adventures with our Clone Wars characters. Additionally, expanding on Count Dooku is always great. His story has been told through books, but not on screen before. Seeing his departure from the Jedi Order and how he grew to resent it further develops his character. It also explains how he grew into the man we know in Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. However, given this is titled Tales of the Jedi, I first expected this anthology series to take a different route. Wouldn't it have been nice to focus on other Jedi rather than ones we spent a fair amount of time with? Surely exploring, say, a Jedi from the High Republic era would have been good, or perhaps someone from the sequel trilogy. However, with the fast approaching live-action Ahsoka series with Rosario Dawson, it does make sense to expand Ahsoka's story, filling in gaps in essence. Overall, it's a really good way to see the early Clone Wars models in 4K HD animation. I've recently been rewatching the early seasons right now, so seeing this updated animation and the quality is amazing. Anyway, let's look at the episodes and what they do for each other. We start off Tales of the Jedi with Ahsoka and her nice short story about her birth and upbringing as a child, titled Life and Death. Ahsoka belongs to a small village with a very close-knit community, with even her father shouting in the street at the night that Ahsoka had been born. We skip to a year in the future, and Ahsoka and her mum are getting ready on a hunt, an ancient tradition of this tribe to learn about the cycle of life and death, and honour the spirits of their ancestors. Before they head off, they are even blessed by the village elder. Avti, Ahsoka's mother, hunts a Kybuck in front of Ahsoka and teaches her not to fear death, which is an interesting thing to show to a 1-year-old baby, but hey ho, other cultures. A saber-toothed tiger, if we can call it that, attacks and we get some cool scenes of Pavti attacking it to defend Ahsoka, but in the end, Ahsoka is abducted by the tiger. Just like the first teaching was not to be scared of death and look towards it, Ahsoka isn't scared of this threat before her and calms the tiger, a sign of her force sensitivity. Beast taming is a pretty common trait in Force sensitives, with being shown pretty frequently in Rebels by Jedi Knight Ezra Bridger, or should I say Jedi Padawan technically. The tiger brings Ahsoka back to her village, which could also represent who Ahsoka is, someone who walks the path of the light and dark with their abilities in the Force. Ahsoka is in this community, and through tragedy, is set on her own path before rejoining the group. The Elder knows this means that Ahsoka is Jedi, and this is how the first short ends, which is a really good short overall. As mentioned, it's a good way to establish where Ahsoka starts as a character, literally she was born here. We'll see her in a later stage of life in the live action series in 2023, which we're looking forward to. The next Ahsoka short is episode 5 of Tales of the Jedi, but we'll easily do this next to avoid confusion of you. It's titled Practice Makes Perfect, and we see Anakin and Ahsoka at the Jedi Temple. You do see Caleb Doom and Depa Billaba in the background, which is really cool. They have those models from the beginning of a Bad Batch, but it's nice to see these characters in the Jedi Temple. It's a nice little touch as a cameo, and it's sort of connective tissue that Tales of the Jedi can do. Ahsoka goes up against training remotes which simulate battle droids in a shrinking force field arena. However, it seems like Anakin has high stands for Ahsoka, who surpasses the remote training test. Other Jedi are present here, notable Jedi Master I'm Gonna Die, who was in the Clone Wars episode Supply Lines. We saw his clone Garrison and Ryloth make a last stand so that Charm Syndulla and his Twi'lek civilians could escape. I love that episode personally, it's a very sad episode. So we go to Republic Center for military operations on Coruscant, where Ahsoka will be on trial in the Clone Wars. Also, the Bad Batch Season 2 will visit here in January. Anakin has organised a test for Ahsoka using Captain Rex and the 501st. And interestingly enough, Anakin's preparing Ahsoka for Order 66. These moves that Ahsoka will use to save her during Order 66. So Anakin's training is why Ahsoka survives the Jedi Purge. The title relates to this. Oh, and an interesting detail here, Jesse is the clone trooper who stuns Ahsoka the first time around. Jesse being the 501st trooper who would attempt to execute her and Rex years later. Apart from that, there isn't too much to say about this short, just it's nice to see Anakin training Ahsoka and how it does save her life. We even get a nice little time skip with Ahsoka continuing to do the practice test throughout the Clone Wars, while stationed in a Venator Star Destroyer, with her 2 lightsabers this time. And then, actually, something I didn't expect, a final time skip going to Order 66, and what we see in the finale of the Clone Wars TV series, which is a neat way to remind those of us who may not have put 2 and 2 together about where this training comes in handy. Still, it's always an emotional rollercoaster realizing what happened here and how Jesse and the clones died. And the final Ahsoka short is episode 6, Resolve, which starts on Naboo where we see Padme at Amidala's funeral. This is a way to start the short, seeing people like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, and, as is an Ahsoka short, Ahsoka at their funeral. Maybe Ahsoka was trying to see if Anakin survived the Jedi Purge because he would attend Padme's funeral if he could, but he's probably turning into Lord Vader as this short takes place. Organa even tracks down Ahsoka and confirms for us that Ahsoka was there not only honouring Padme, but also looking for Anakin. It's nice that we get a little bit more Ahsoka and Organa, to be honest, with Organa even giving Ahsoka a comm channel which might inadvertently link Ahsoka becoming a Fulcrum agent and reminding Ahsoka of their duty to help others. In a nice detail, Ahsoka's ship is the blue 501st Y-Wing we see in the Clone Wars final episode, and of course Captain Rex is there. Our next scene is of it on an idyllic farm, which even has those tall-legged farm droids previously seen in The Mandalorian on Sorgan. Ahsoka seems to become a labourer on this planet and even saves a woman from being crushed by grain, using the Force but making sure others don't know. Ahsoka's using the name Ashla, which, as we know, means the Force in Lasat, and the light side of the Force by the Bendu. I want to think this girl Ahsoka saved is Kaiden Lati, since that almost follows the Ahsoka novel of Ahsoka taking the name Ashla and posing as a mechanic on a remote farming settlement. However, as some did expect, there is still some difference between this and the novel, considering the changes Season 7 of the Clone Wars did to the book anyway. Funnily enough, at the food scene, we have this girl's brother spouting off benefits of the Empire to his elders, and he overhears that she is a Jedi and reports it as the Empire-loving guy he is. And as expected, an Inquisitor does arrive at the farm, burns the village, and kills nearly everyone because it's the Inquisitors. Now already this Inquisitor is cool, with a cape, an Imperial cog on it, and a raven-like skeletal mask. His voice and his actions are just evil, and I love it. By the way, he's voiced by Clancy Brown, the same guy who voices Mr. Krabs, also Savage Opress. It seems this Inquisitor knows of Ahsoka, so he might be a former Jedi turned Inquisitor. It'll be interesting to know who he might be, and hopefully we get those extra details. Filoni, come on, tell us. Ahsoka has a few simple moves. Manage to dodge, take hold of the Inquisitor's lightsaber, and kill the Inquisitor. Suggests he probably wasn't that strong as an Inquisitor overall. Now Ahsoka uses the comm to Bail Organa and gets the surviving people to, I presume, Alderaan? However, this is not the best operational security. Bail Organa just went to a place where an Inquisitor was just dispatched and killed, lost contact with, and probably let on to people that he might have blabbed to the Empire. I'm sure he's learned his lesson about trusting the Empire, but it seems like this is where Ahsoka re-enters the fight and goes off to become a Fulcrum agent for the budding rebellion. Just like the novels probably cleanses the Inquisitor's lightsaber and Kyberkus to make her white lightsaber we see in Rebels. But the question is, where is her other lightsaber at this point in time? Overall, there were some interesting shorts seeing the birth of Ahsoka during the Clone Wars and her training, and then a test to return to the fight. It's a shame the final shot did not keep continuity with the Ahsoka novel, but this was only a matter of time considering the Clone Wars Season 7 and it changed what was said in the novel. The Dooku's first episode starts off with him and his Padawan in a T6 shuttle. His initial voice made me wonder a little bit, mainly as it sounds similar to one of the side characters from the Clone Wars. Naturally, as this is set before the outbreak of the Clone Wars, some of the Jedi tech, like the shuttle, looks rather dated. A rather interesting detail is we see Dooku's lightsaber, which is very similar to the one he would later use as a Sith Lord. The Padawan of Count Dooku, well he's not a Count at this point but you get what I mean, is Qui-Gon Jinn, who would be the master of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like this short as it tells us what Dooku stands for as a Jedi. We see him slowly become disillusioned of how the politics of the galaxy work, especially when he sees how a lone senator is treating his citizens on the planet. Animation wise, the shootout scene was rather cool. The high-def graphics make it stand out, and seeing Dooku and Qui-Gon take on troopers was awesome. The temptation of the dark side is seen within Dooku. His little speech about corruption being eradicated appears to have dark side tendencies. However, I think this episode serves as one of the key tipping points for Dooku as a Jedi Master. By the way, Liam Neeson's son, Michael, voices young Qui-Gon Jinn here, a nice little detail. Interestingly, the second Dooku episode starts similar to the first. Dooku is on a mission with Master Jedi Mace Windu. It's great to see both these characters interacting. It's early in the timeline, so we get Mace, who is not a member of the Jedi Council at this point. It is clear from the get-go that Mace's way of doing things will not align with Dooku's. I once again go to commend the animation department. The T6 shuttle flyby sequence shots look beautiful as we approach the planet. Seeing Mace and Dooku go full Jedi Master on the guards and droid forces was awesome. This storyline from the episode is somewhat similar to the previous short, therefore a little repetitive in some instances. It's a case of civilians not being served properly by the senator. There are obviously differences between each storyline, however you could compare the plight of the civilians to what would motivate Dooku to form a separatist alliance eventually. Dooku does communicate with the prisoner at guard, and this bit builds on to what I just said about the CIS being formed. Even more so, Dooku has sparred Mace over the direction of the Jedi take regarding instructions from the Galactic Senate, further enforcing the direction to the Jedi Master will go into, eventually forming a separatist movement. I think a post-it moment is an episode ending of Dooku becoming disillusioned with the Jedi Council, especially when he's passed over a seat on that very same council. The start of Dooku's last shot immediately gripped me because of the title. Called Sith Lord, we knew this would be about the downfall to the Sith. Another important detail is Dooku erasing the Jedi archive data for Kamino under Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, which would link with Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, a detail I don't think we've ever seen on screen before, so it's pretty cool to get that. Another connection is to Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, with Qui-Gon Jinn encountering the Sith Lord Darth Maul, and thus the information reaching the Jedi Council. Hearing Liam Neeson voicing Qui-Gon once again was awesome. We've also got Jedi Master Yaddle as a member of Yoda's species, voiced by Bryce Dallas Howard, who's directed episodes of The Mandalorian and an episode of the Book of Boba Fett. However, a touching moment is Dooku warning Qui-Gon that he will not be there to protect him. Naturally, this alludes to Jinn's incoming defeat and death at the hands of Darth Maul. We get a time skip, and here we are. A moment we get to focus on is the aftermath of Qui-Gon's death. The effect it has on Dooku is another element that pushes him to the dark side of the Force. Though, I've got to say, one thing I think Tales of the Jedi could have done better shows how Dooku met Palpatine, and how the pair became associated with each other. Perhaps it was through Dooku's interest in politics. Some story expansion on this would have been made sense to understand and would have made for a better program, I think. Also, can we just take a moment to commend the music of Tales of the Jedi? Kevin Kiner returns when composing the Clone Wars to add the music to the series. It's rather touching, especially during a meeting between Darth Sidious and Count Dooku. Hearing Ian McDermott speaking so softly to Sidious was a very, very nice touch. However, ultimately, the fight between Dooku and Yaddle at the moment is what we've been waiting for in the series. Sidious watching his new apprentice is an interesting detail. He's watching how Dooku performs in lightsaber combat to see if he has what it takes to become a Dark Lord of the Sith. Yaddle has a touching moment with Dooku where she agrees with him. Dooku executing Yaddle was a super dark moment. But again, after a decade, we're fully aware of how dark the Clone Wars can get. Overall, Tales of the Jedi has been a nice little series. It's easy something to binge watch, but I think that's essentially it. Once we're done watching this series, will it have any rewatch value? It works best to add further story to our characters of Ahsoka Tano and Count Dooku. Ahsoka's story continues in the upcoming live action project, however Dooku's story does not seem to be going anywhere lately, mainly because he's dead. Therefore it makes me question, why have a focus on him at all? Regardless, it's still good to get focus on Count Dooku. Seeing him talking with Sidious and what motivates him to the delusion with the Jedi and the Republic certainly adds weight to his character in the Clone Wars and also the Star Wars movies. It'll be interesting to see if there's any more Dooku material coming down the pipeline from Star Wars. We know we're getting a build of a Sith work, especially with the upcoming Star Wars The Acolyte Disney Plus series, that is in the middle of filming right now. Okay Exiled Ones, that's it from me. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news, lore and more. You can also follow us on social media as well, but please let us know what you think in the video comment section below, because if you're talking about Star Wars, we want to hear about it. That's it for myself today. I've been Captain Jack here on Star Wars Now, and we'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.